Welcome back to Upshaw Unfiltered. This is a podcast talking with outdoorsmen, fishermen, and everyone else out there, whether it be football players, coaches, anything and everything. Nothing is off limits. We're going to be talking outdoors. We're going to be talking what they are a part of. We've had some amazing special guests as of late, whether it be Brad Fuller, Christopher Cruz, James Watson, just to name a few. But guys, this is episode number 4 of Upshaw Unfiltered. I have a very, very special guest with me today. This particular guest is part of the U.S. Army Outdoors team. John Branch is his name. He fishes with their outdoors team. And what a lot of people don't realize is the U.S. Army actually has a very complex outdoors team. They have a lot of different stokes in the fire, and they do a lot of really great things around. I met John this year through a really good friend of mine, Josh Watkins, who just retired from the U.S. military, who was also part of the Army outdoor team and has fished the MPFL. And I think he's actually going to fish it more moving forward as well. I think he's looking for a few sponsors. So if you get a chance, go check out Josh Watkins and John Branch. But guys, let's get on into it. This is a really interesting interview because I really love interviewing people who have as far as a background in the military. He's an active duty Army person as of right now, a soldier as of right now. So, guys, without further ado, here is John Branch.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Hey, thank you for coming on. The really unique thing about John is I met John through, like I said before, a good friend of ours, Josh Watkins, that was part of the Army outdoor team. Just retired, which is really, really cool that he was able to do that. I mean, the guy's put in a bunch of years of service for the U.S. military, was able to fish with him. And that's actually how I met Josh. I think I was at a Bassmasters Classic. May have been in Birmingham, and he was part of the outdoors team. I went and had a conversation with him. We talked. We became friends. And then when I started fishing in PFL, Josh reached out to me and asked if, I needed a place to stay one time. And he was like very, very welcoming. And I didn't really have anybody to run around with on the MPFL. And so it was really cool to have Josh and John to kind of be my buddies out there on tour. When I knew a bunch of people, I fished against a bunch of them, but for me to just jump into it, I didn't really have a bunch of friends that I was just rooming with. I'd fished the opens for quite a few years, and then I just jump on into the MPFL. But John Branch, Master Sergeant. Oh, I lost John. I don't know where he went. John, are you there? Hey, Rusty, is there still video or no? Can you comment if there is or isn't? All right, there you're back. I don't know what happened. Can you hear
I'm
me?
back. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay, perfect. All right, John, can you hear? Yeah, I got you. I can hear you, buddy.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all?
I'm going to sign out and sign back in.
Okay, sounds good. So John is a master sergeant in the U.S. military. He has a very interesting job. He's been deployed quite a few times. We're going to touch base about all of those different things. We're going to talk about his deployments. We're going to talk about the Army Outdoors team, what their initiative is, and how it affects, us as anglers, because it's a really interesting dynamic that we have going on. Like I said, he fished the MPFL this year. I know he has some different plans possibly for next year. So we're going to dive into that. John is possibly back. Let's see his sound. I don't know why his sound is messing up. Can you hear me now?
I got you. Dude, right as you were introducing, I get a phone call and it just like everything just wiped out.
Oh yeah, I've been there, done that too many times. So Master Sergeant John Branch, that's probably the only time I'm going to call you that. I struggle with
Okay.
you a title. Like, yeah, I'm just not doing it. I just know him too well. So John, tell us a little bit about the Army Outdoors team, how you kind of came about being a part of it, and a little bit about what it does and what y'all's initiative is for the Army Outdoor team.
Oh, sure thing. Hey, hopefully everybody can hear me okay because it is absolutely pouring down rain here. And before I get going, Andrew, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. A big opportunity for us. Any way that we can get our name out there like this, it's awesome. So I greatly appreciate you for that. But to jump into the Army Outdoors team, we're one of a few teams, and our mission is to market the Army as the premier choice of military service through shared love and passion of the great outdoors. That's our mission statement. Um, but kind of the big takeaway is more of the messaging that we offer of, if you've ever seen me on stage at the NPFL events or really anywhere else, my biggest note or the biggest thing I like to put out there is that just because you're in the army, just because you serve, doesn't mean you have to give up all the things that you enjoy. Yeah, and whatever that may be. My thing is just competitive bass fishing. So you get to chase your other dreams, you get to chase your other hobbies. It's not just soldier in an army 24/7. We're not just mindless robots. We actually have some semi other talents in other areas and things like that. But and other than the outdoors team, we have other teams as well. Our most established team is, if I go back in history, it's not that long ago, but yeah, the esports team, which is actually a video game team, insanely competitive. They win all kinds of. I'm not a big video game guy, but those dudes are really, really good. We also have a fitness team, which you met my commander,
Yes.
who she is a CrossFit animal. They are all absolute animals. We got a strongman, big influence in the CrossFit world. They actually have some like national level CrossFit events that they're going to be attending. But again, just to kind of rehash, like all of it is really just a bit of a marketing piece, just to show, one, there's more to the army than most people think, and two, you don't necessarily just give up everything. I mean, it's a job. I can't say it's a job like any other job. Like there's obviously some other intricacies with it, but you still get to do the things you love and enjoy.
Well, for sure. And you fished the NPFL this year, and I want to say you fished it last year as well. How
Yep.
has that experience been for you as far as fishing at that level, that stage? Has your initiative been successful? And kind of where do you see you going in the next, couple years or however long that you're going to continue to do this?
Well, first off, like with the NPFLs, like what man, it's hard to even put into words how much I've enjoyed my time with those guys there. It's a family. They know my name. They ask about my family. It's just it's a great atmosphere to be around, and have thoroughly, on a personal level, have thoroughly enjoyed my time competing and fishing with that organization. And the platform that they provide for us to get our message out there. I mean, Big Al always sticks the mic in my face. He'll, how he gives us our little cues on
Oh
stage.
yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if he's like, "Hey man, we got to hurry." Like he lets me get my spiel out there, and they've really been over backwards to assist in what we're trying to do outside of the competitive sides of things. Um, so the future of things, we always kind of have a little bit of a standstill at this time. I'm sure everybody understands what's going on, with the overall government, but we're waiting for fundings and things like that just to kind of really see what we're going to be able to do for the following years. So I don't know. It's
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, we're all kind of sitting on hands right now as far as the government shutdown and everything that's kind of going along with that. And that a lot of people don't realize, and I'm paraphrasing. A lot of people don't realize just how many people it affects when a government actually shuts down. It's everybody as far as any federal worker, and that includes military. So everybody kind of sits on their hands. They don't really know what to do because they don't typically have that kind of situation. So it definitely, I know, it's thrown y'all a little bit of a curveball especially this time of year, of all the times, I mean, we can always say that there's a better or worse time to have things happen. But when you're talking about truly trying to figure out where you're signing up for trails and things like that, that is a big curveball because you don't even know. I mean, heck, they might roll over tomorrow and be like, hey, we're not doing it tomorrow, or hey, we're going to do it or keep doing it. So it's just kind of a big question mark. But let's transition out of fishing just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about your service. I know you've been deployed a few different times. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Where have you gone, and what was your MOS?
So the MOS story is a little interesting. When I enlisted into the Army, I enlisted as a 15 Sierra, which is a Kiowa Warrior helicopter repair. And if people don't remember the Kiowa, it's like the news helicopter looking deal. I had the big round ball on top of it. And I was stationed out in Hawaii and spent a few years doing that.
Terrible place to be.
Man, I'm not trying to knock Hawaii, but after being there for a little bit of time, like when it was time to start getting orders and go somewhere else, like I was ready to go. It's that the island fever thing is a thing, but it's either one way or the other from what I've seen out there. It's like I was one of the ones that was ready to go. Enjoyed my time there, did some really, really cool things. That is probably the most beautiful place on the planet. But yeah, I was definitely ready to go. But then there's other people that want to stay there their whole career. They love it.
Right.
But that place you don't really see any in between. But definitely glad I got to experience that. Met some great friends or people that I'm still friends with to this day. But yeah, so 15 Sierra did some of that stuff. Got recruited for the 160th. I was stationed out of Fort Campbell with them. Spent the bulk of my career in that organization, and there I was a little bird guy, and that's where the little bird world pulled their talent from, was the 15 Sierra community. And while I was a little bird guy, that's when they did away with the Kiowa Warriors or the OH-58 Deltas. And so I still remember sitting in a meeting and they were trying to figure out what to do with us because all the other, the big Army components, they were having to transition to a different MOS. Well, ultimately, the powers to be decided to make us Black Hawk guys, which is 15 Tango. So technically, I'm a 15 Tango, but I've never worked on a Black Hawk, and I never will. And then to make things even more confusing is once you make the enlisted rank of E8, Master Sergeant, First Sergeant, then your MOS changes to a Zulu. So I'm actually a 15 Zulu now.
That's crazy.
Are you confused?
And for anybody that doesn't know, a little bird, for just normal speaking, if you ever watch Black Hawk Down and you see the little helicopter that comes in to help them, that is the little bird. Whereas the Black Hawk, obviously the Black Hawk Down, that was the big helicopter that went down in the movie and as a primary means of transportation in the field, it seems like quite a bit. So the little bird is more, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is used to transport more special forces and that kind of stuff.
They have a pretty select mission set.
Right.
Extremely specialized. That was... And I don't mean this to knock this job in any way, shape, or form, but you can include this job in my statement. But my time in the little bird world is the best time of my life. I had an absolute blast. It was, if I could go back and do it again, I would.
Really? That's awesome. So you were deployed. Where were you deployed and when? And kind of give us a little background on that.
I'll stay away from some of the dates and all that stuff. But yeah, I've been to your typicals. I've been to Afghanistan a bunch. Been to Iraq a few times.
Right.
Some of the ones I can't get into locations too much, but right. I've got about 13 total deployments.
Jeez. And were those some of them short, or were they weren't each a year long? I know at one point, like when my brother went to Iraq, it was almost a year deployment. So were they all like? So have you been to Iraq and Afghanistan 13 years, or was it some of them shorter deployments than others?
13 years. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say
I've got one longer deployment, and the bulk of my other ones are on a different time frame.
Gotcha. Okay. I kind of figured that, but I wasn't quite sure. And I knew
I'd dang near be a resident on that timeline.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. They might have to get you a passport and all that kind of stuff.
I don't want to live over there.
citizenship.
I like America.
No, I completely understand. And so when you came into the military, did you even think that it was a possibility? Oh gosh, did he lose power?
We got these dadgum timing lights, and if I'm too still, they just shut off. So I got to get up and like wave my hand. We're good. I got it taken care of.
Okay, cool. Um, no, but when you joined the military, did you even think this was an option? I know you grew up and you fished a lot out west. I know you actually grew up in Florida, though, right?
Hmm.
So when you joined, you were like, you know what? You saw this opportunity to go fishing. Like, how did that even come about?
Man, so and some of the funnier backstory of like you saying, yeah, I grew up in Florida, love Florida. Actually, I have a Florida tattoo on me. Because I've been to like 48 or 49 of the 50 states. I've been to countless other countries. I traveled all the time, and I got a little homesick. So I got a little tattoo, and so I could always have home with me. That was my little,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. But crap. Now I got off topic. I mean, you're throwing me off. It's hard talking to your buddy, on a social media platform. What was it? Ask me the question again.
So you grew up in Florida. You were fishing, and then
Oh,
you
okay,
fished
okay.
out west a bunch. And but you joined the military. And how did you come about even getting on the Army outdoor team?
And once you started asking, I remembered. No, so I actually grew up inshore saltwater fishing. That was my
Mhm.
family's heritage in Florida. Um, throwing cast nets for mullets, snook fishing, redfish, trout, and all that. And we would just kind of bass fish for fun. There was phosphate pits all over where I grew up, and that was really the bulk of the bass fishing that I did. And then, you know, joining the army. One of my dad's favorite statements is he lost his fishing partner the day I joined the army. Even though I'd come home and fish with him as
Yeah.
much as I could, but um, actually, out at Fort Campbell, I kind of got to the point where I missed it. But you're not really close to saltwater around Fort Campbell, so I went and bought a little bass boat and started teaching myself how to bass fish on Kentucky Lake. And started getting more and more into it. Would fish some derbies kind of here and there, as my schedule would allow. And then I got orders to PCS out to Fort Lewis in Washington. And before leaving Fort Campbell, like sold my bass boat. I was like, there's no bass fishing out there. Like it's going to be all salmon and all this type of stuff. And once my wife and I made the drive all the way out there, we got snowed in for it was like 8 or 9 days. And if anybody ever tells you that it doesn't snow around Fort Lewis and Washington, they're lying to you because it snows.
Mhm.
Like we weren't prepared. Everybody, oh, it never snows. It's just drizzly and rainy. No, it snowed. So, long story short, I had a lot of time on my hands. So I just kind of start investigating the area, looking into this, looking into that, and then come to find out that there was a pretty big bass fishing scene out there. And of the odd places to really start getting into the competitive side of bass fishing, that's actually where I really got going on it. Um, was extremely fortunate that just a bunch of the lakes and stuff out there really fit how I kind of like to fish. Started seeing some success pretty quickly, and I didn't even know that this team existed, and for a bulk of my career, it didn't. And a first start friend of mine, I'd won something or done pretty well in a tournament, and coming back to work, he's like, "Hey man, I saw this about this Army Outdoors team." He's like, you should really look into it. And it took about a month to kind of investigating and looking around because that's like the team was super, super new.
Mhm.
I mean, like they weren't fishing tournaments, they weren't doing anything like that. They were a part of we call it the MEC, it's the Mobile Exhibit Company. If you've ever seen like the huge semis with the Army
Oh yeah.
branding all over it, and they got the simulators and stuff like that in there, that's the MEC. And that's what the Army bass boat was originally. And then, and I've said it a bunch of other times. Then Josh Watkins came on the team, retired. Congrats, buddy. Um, and he's the one that got it to the competitive level, seeing that the Warrior Fit team and the esports team and a bunch of these other teams competed. And he really put in a lot of man hours and a lot of work and got it to where the outdoors team started competing. And right about that time is when I found out about it, sent them my information. They decided that I was going to be a good fit and kind of had the resume and background. And then we came on board. And that is for the future growth of it, it really laid the groundwork for us to recruit new people onto the team of, We essentially send an email out to every eligible member of the United States Army, Guard, Reserve, everything. We have them send us their resumes, their bios, because we're not just looking for fishing acumen. Like, we want you to be able to fish, obviously, but we're more so looking for stuff like when your buddy calls you an hour ago and asks you to be on a live podcast. You can jump on there and speak and hold yourself well, communicate the message and things like that.
Right, no doubt. I mean, and that's half the battle for anything. It's like any
Yep.
sponsorship or anything like that. So, a couple things. My dad was actually stationed at Fort Lewis in Washington for a while, and my mom and dad both lived up there, and they loved it. I mean, that was like because it's so beautiful, and especially during that time frame. I mean, you're talking 70s, yeah, in the 70s, and it was just really pretty. Not as grown up as what it is now, obviously. Not as cityfied, I would say.
Oh yeah.
So it was just a different experience, or maybe it's 80s, like I don't know. It was during that time frame for sure. So that's really really interesting as far as that goes. And actually, my godparents are they live in Washington still in Seattle.
Oh, okay.
So shout out to Freddie and Sue out there. Love y'all guys. But and that was actually somebody that worked with my dad in the U.S. military was Freddie. I think he retired as well. So, but not to get off topic too terribly much, but that is it's really interesting that you're in Fort Lewis because it is such a beautiful place. I remember when I was a kid, I got to go visit a few times.
Oh, it's gorgeous there when it's not raining.
Exactly, but it's always raining.
It does. Well, but you can even separate it too. The east side, you go through the pass and go to the east side.
Oh, yeah.
It's all high desert. It's totally different from the west side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
the
west
bulk
side
of our
is
fishing
the
was the
pretty.
east side.
Right. And it's just crazy how that all sets up. The second thing is your trailers that you're talking about where the U.S. Army comes out and they take them to colleges and all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was in college I was kind of in between. I'd left Louisiana College and gone to Angelina College before I went to SFA. And when I was at Angelina College, they brought that trailer and, they're trying to recruit people. And they had a simulator in there where you would drive a Humvee.
Yeah.
And you had to like dodge these IEDs. And then you had to and I don't know if everybody ever figured out, I did it twice. And the second time I did it, I figured out how to beat the game to the point where I was literally just driving through hills and jumping hills because I'd beat the entire simulator. And the guy's just over there laughing. He's like, I ain't never seen anybody do that. Like you said, you beat the whole thing. Like you beat the whole simulator. Like you're.
And he still didn't even get you to sign up, did he?
No, I mean, I almost did. It was pretty close. And I really had a deep desire to join the military. Unfortunately speaking, at this point, I've had like 5 knee surgeries. And it actually still didn't keep me out. It was just more of a personal choice at that point where I was like, how much more damage do I want to do to my body at this point to where it's, will I have a life after that? And, I see guys like you, I see guys like Josh and my brother and all his friends and all these guys that have had just numerous injuries come from the military, whether it be bad backs or knees or ankles or necks. I mean, it seems like shoulders. It kind of goes along that whole line. So I was like, man, I just don't know if my body can actually physically take it. Because what people don't realize is, especially people who aren't in the military, is how much torture your body does take in certain MOSs, certain jobs that you do. I mean, it's beat on. And it's not as
it
easy
can be for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, especially at the training camp and all that, and especially if you get deployed, depending on what you're doing. I know my brother took a lot of a beating on his, and a lot of his friends did as well. I mean, it's hard.
That brings up a pretty good point too, especially about the Army. I can't speak to the other branches. I've obviously only been in the Army, but a pretty good analogy for the Army is kind of Vegas. There's a bunch of different types of Vegas. You want relaxing Vegas, you want good food Vegas, you want crazy wild, do everything imaginable Vegas. All that's out there. And the Army offers that as well. I'm not a recruiter. We're more on the marketing side of things, but there's an insane amount of jobs, anything from healthcare to, my background, aviation, infantry. It's all there. So in all reality, whatever you want to do, the opportunity is there for you to do it.
Mhm.
I'm kind of walking proof of that. Of um, pretty much stayed in the aviation realm up until this team, but did some big Army time. Kind of wanted something a little bit more, a little bit different from that. And then the 160th world became a reality. Went and assessed and did all that type of stuff. And yet, some of it's tough. A lot of it's physically demanding.
Mhm.
But we also get pretty well taken care of. If you need to go see a doctor,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you say
And
one
that
thing.
that is the really unique thing about it. I mean, obviously, especially for kids graduating from high school, or even in college, and it just doesn't seem like anything's working out. I mean, it gives you an avenue to get a job. I mean, what's the number one thing your parents say? Get a job if you start paying your bills, and
Go
that
to school and get a
reality
job.
sets in. I mean, that reality truly sets in when you're like, you know what, I can't afford to live. I can't. It's hard for me to find a job that pays significantly
Yep.
more or gives me health care or gives me these benefits that I need to survive. Um, and I'm actually surprised more and more people don't. I do think that the misconception, or one misconception, is that the job is you're going to war or you have to be in the infantry or something like that when it comes to the Army. And that's the furthest from the truth. And I know I say it's physically demanding, but every job that I wanted to do was very physically demanding. And so, I know I had a friend of mine going there in the medical side, from the
Mm-hmm.
nursing aspect, doctors and all that. I mean, there's literally something for everyone in the military. So it's a really unique opportunity. I know my brother actually texted me on the very first episode that we have on Upshaw Unfiltered. I said he was kind of a shithead, and that's why he joined the military. And he texted me. He's like, "What do you mean I'm a shithead? I wasn't a shithead." And I'm like, "Well, you kind of were. I love you, but you kind of were."
Yeah.
Um, so it just kind of funny as far as that goes. But you
Well,
know, it just
even me,
gives
prime
people an
example.
opportunity. Yeah.
I I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. Like I just kind of got in this weird, you know, wasn't real sure what direction to go, and then was a family friend of ours was a Huey pilot in Vietnam and had always spoke very highly about Army aviation.
Mhm.
And this is something we share when because we do a lot of high school and college talks and things like that. Of just keep the Army in that old back pocket.
Right.
It's always an opportunity. It's always there. We are always hiring.
Well,
And
speaking of that, you're how many years do you have left to where until you can retire? Because I know you've done it for. If you start talking Iraq, Afghanistan, and not to put a date on it, but you're talking 20 years ago, right? Or close to, at least.
I am quickly approaching that 20-year mark. I may or may not already have my approved retirement orders. But
Well,
I'll put it this
congratulations
way.
on that. I can't confirm or deny, but very much congratulations on more so the years of service and not necessarily the just the retirement aspect. I know my brother and my dad retired early, or not retired, but they were honorably discharged early.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a tremendous, and I mean a tremendous amount of respect for uh, soldiers, army veterans that are able to stay the full course of their time, just like Josh and yourself, amongst millions of others or hundreds of thousands of others that have. I don't know the exact number, but there's a lot of others that have obviously retired military, like truly retired and stayed your full term of service, and that needs to be applauded more than anything. The fact that somebody has that opportunity.
I appreciate the heck out of that. And it's some days it feels like it's as easy as waking up and going to work and doing your thing. And then, other days it's not as easy. Um, but it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to better yourself, to better your life, to get experience in things you'd never get experience in. James Watson actually he had some great notes on his military service and how that set him up for success in the outside world. Great representative of the U.S. Army right there.
Well, and it's funny. I asked you the other day. I said, "What are you going to do if and you retire, or when you retire?" You're eventually going to retire. It's just kind of where you're at anyway. Just like I'm going to retire eventually one day, hopefully. It's just what it is.
Oh yeah.
Um, when you retire, how are you going to get back to the civilian life? What is your plan? Because I'm gonna tell you, beyond, and I'm not talking about from transferring from being overseas. I'm talking about, I know that y'all have processes and this daily routine that is just ingrained in you almost. I asked the same thing with Josh whenever he retired, and we've seen what he got him a big old goatee, and he's just rocking it. Got some hair. I don't even know what to really do with him right now because don't even recognize him. But I know that's a thing. Like that transition out is really hard to kind of get back to a quote unquote what everybody else will consider a normal life, but would just
Yeah.
be
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It, luckily, there's systems and processes set up for, cause retiring takes about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not full time. You're not just doing retirement stuff every single day, but it really is about a year long process. And there's programs and things set up for all the servicemen and women, to assist setting you up on the outside. And we say the outside like it's this weird thing, just civilian life, because you go from doing anything for that long, you know, in our case, the army, it's a little daunting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a slight touch of anxiety that goes with it because you've had this paycheck coming in for what you know how to do for such a long time. You do start thinking about how am I going to be able to provide for my family and do all those other
Yeah,
things.
life after the military.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, do you have an
absolutely.
idea of as far as like a job or what you're looking into, or I
Eh,
mean,
My
obviously, I know the fishing side. You want to continue to pursue that, but obviously, I know there's at least one or two other things that you see yourself doing.
in the competitive fishing piece, some things need to work out because you you had started to broach the subject a little earlier of like the jump to what we're able to do in your traditional army lifestyle.
Right.
Especially on the competitive bass fishing side of things, regional at best. And I'm
Mhm.
one of the lucky ones to have had some backing with my command, and they really supported me doing a lot of the regional stuff. But man, when you jump to that national level, ooh, buddy, like that is I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't ready for it. That was, I mean, you're competing against the Andrew Upshaws and like
Oh
people
man,
that have made
you
a
mean the
living.
Greg Hackneys and the Jason Christies? Don't put
It,
me in
it,
that group. I don't deserve
all
that.
those guys too.
Yeah.
Like it's a massive jump, man. And I have learned a ton in just this 2 years. Learned a lot from hanging out with you over the last year. So yeah, I'd love to keep fishing. Like I try to. I'm not gonna say I try to hide it. I've just gotten better at hiding it. Like I want to beat you in a shoestring tying race. Like I'm the most
Oh yeah.
competitive human being I've ever met. Like it kills me to not win everything. Um, so like that fire to keep competing and do all those things, like yeah, I absolutely still want to do it. Believe I have the talent and the ability. um some more time, more learning, keep developing and doing all those things. But another one of my dreams is to and as of right now, kind of the plan we're shooting for too, is my wife and I are going to move up close to my parents in the panhandle of Florida. um I've been inshore saltwater fishing there, redfish, speckled trout, for God, my whole life. And opening up in a guide service and doing that for a little bit. Just get one of the pieces of fishing on this national level and traveling as much as we do, and a piece that I actually miss is taking different people fishing.
Mhm.
As I got to do that quite a bit in Washington. um, and I actually really enjoy it. Like I like taking people that don't really know how to fish and putting them on a big 27, 28 inch redfish and just seeing that joy in their face, or taking them out to go flipping or bass fishing for the first time and they catch a big one like that. That's something I've always really enjoyed.
Well, speaking of that, you just got back from a trip with your father down there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I called you the other day and you were out there fishing with him. And I want to say I saw a video of you catching a big red, but I might not have. I might be imagining that because I do follow a lot of inshore anglers on social media. I really love catching redfish. I especially love catching redfish that you can physically see and cast at.
Mm-hmm.
There might not be a better way to catch a fish than sight fishing a redfish, in my opinion. But that's just me. I love it.
Oh no, I agree, and that's one of the things that I would really kind of, I don't want to say specialize because I like to do a bunch of different things, especially in the saltwater world. But like you said, getting up and seeing that redfish tailing and, flicking you a bait to them and having them react to it, and then, just ripping line off the drag, it gets your heart going. And then especially when you can introduce that to newer people that have never done it before and just share that pure joy with them. Like that's something that I think I could really, really get into.
Well, and this time of year, especially as the water starts cooling up just a little bit, uh, one of my favorite things for anybody that doesn't know, this time of year, especially like Mobile Bay, that around that Gulf Shores area, I know what
Hmm.
happens over there in Florida. Those jacks really start moving shallow. Those bull reds, they all kind of start schooling up, and like they'll actually be schooling out there, and you can go take a big bell popper or a
Hmm.
big mega sexy dog, something like that, and have like the most fun that you've ever had. Like it's literally like for a bass fisherman, it's like chasing schools of bass, but that are about 14 times bigger, and you better have the right equipment for it. I filmed a show in southern Mississippi. I guess it was a year before last, and we were chasing them with top water like that. And I'm gonna tell you, like getting one of those big jokers, and I was just throwing a regular saltwater sexy dog. Strike King just released their new saltwater line just a couple years ago, and I had the sexy dog and has big beefed up hooks. I've never had a topwater strike like that one. It was a big jack. I mean, it was a really big jack.
Oh, you'll feel like you got Moby Dick on the other end of the
Oh
line.
my God. It is the most tremendous thing. And what I've heard though is when those tuna get to running like that too, it's just as much fun when they come up there and eat those big poppers and things offshore. Uh, what I'm starting to learn about myself is that I just want to go have fun. Like I
Hmm.
don't care about doing anything. Like everybody wants to talk about scope this, scope that. I want to go out there and catch them on a top water. I want to go catch them flipping. I want to
Yeah,
go catch them doing something just like
let's just go
frogging.
fishing.
Just go like I want to go just go thrash on them. Like I
Yes.
I love that aspect of fishing. I mean that's part of the reason I came to the NPFL. But saltwater is definitely a big passion of mine, especially when those jacks and reds get shallow. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than that topwater strike. It's like everybody talks about dropping a bowling ball in the water for a bass when it's a buzz bait or a frog or whatever. It's like dropping like 100 bowling balls in the water when they eat that dang
Oh,
sexy dog when those big jacks do.
they go crazy.
Oh, it's so much fun. Well, John, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate getting some insight on the Army Outdoors team and everything that you do. I wish you nothing but the best moving forward with what you're doing with the Army Outdoors team and your, imminent, I'm saying imminent retirement, whether it be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. When that comes down, I want you to understand that we really appreciate everything that you have done for this country in
Thank
your
you.
deployments and
Thank you.
everything that you continue to do every single day. And hopefully, this is a good insight for others that might not know what you've done, what you do. Um, and so I really think that is important as well.
No, I appreciate the heck out of it, buddy, and appreciate the time you bringing us on here. Appreciate the friendship. Uh, and if anybody doesn't know Andrew too well out there, this is the busiest man in the United States of America.
Well, I
Like it,
appreciate that.
so busy, and even just to be able to get him on the phone is a task sometimes, but mostly due to the dedication to his family and to his craft and to his job. And it's been a good deal getting to know you this last year. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the invite to come on the show, man.
For sure, bud. Well, guys, that was John Branch. Once again, a really, really tremendous person, angler, um, Army Outdoors team member. I mean, overall, such a good dude and does a really, really good job for what he is supposed to be doing. Guys, next week, in the next couple of weeks, we have a bunch of big guests coming. I did have to message John last minute on this one, and it's more of an apology to him and to everyone else that's watching, mainly for the simple reason I had someone kind of cancel out on me and that wasn't able to do it. But I'm going to tell you, it wasn't like I was just bringing in third team with John. I really have tremendous respect for him. He was already going to be on the tab for the next couple of weeks. So glad that we're able to interview him and talk to him about his service and everything that he does. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this live. Make sure you share it with a friend. We're going to try to build this to be bigger and better every single week. I'm not going to tell you who the next guest is. I've got 3 in a row that I promise you aren't going to want to miss. So, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you on the next one.